Hello, welcome to week 3 of the magical readathon and the bookopoly-thon. As you know, if you watched my last vlog, I am in the middle of Jade Legacy. I'm 55% into Jade Legacy starting this vlog, and then I'm 130 pages into the Bone Shard Daughter. So these are the two books that I'm going to be focusing on for this week. And if I do end up finishing both of those this week, which I think I can, I'll probably start The Grace of Kings because Tammy is having a read along and I'd like to not get super behind. This is pretty big. This is 618 pages, so this one's pretty chunky, so I'd like to get a head start on it. But I kind of wanted to do an unboxing with you because when I went to the cabin that we stayed at over the weekend, they had a ton of candles and they had a specific brand that I loved. So I decided to order a few of their fall candles. I really love candles, but I try not to spend much money on them anymore. I've been trying to do wax melts because they are it's less money, but I couldn't resist these, so I ended up getting 4. I think 2 of them are from their fall collection and then 2 are just like, they feel fall-ish to me. So the company is called Anecdote Candles, and so on each candle there's like a little anecdote. So the first one is Bonfire Blaze. Smells like flickering flames and drunken disclosures, whiskey and chestnut. So this is actually part of their fall collection. It smells so good. I love this. I can't wait to burn it. This one is called Ghosting. Smells like no calls and close calls, amber and tobacco spice. It smells so good. It definitely smells more like amber than tobacco, but I love this one. So this one is Oak Moss and Amber, and it smells like a road trip to Portland. That's funny. This one smells faintly of, if you've ever gotten Bath & Body Works candles, this smells faintly of the mahogany teak wood. But that one gives me a headache, which is why I don't really get Bath & Body Works candles, because they're so strong that I get really bad migraines from them. And then the last one that I got is Comfort Zone, which smells like the joy of missing out. Sounds like me. And this one is coffee and cedarwood. So I love coffee scents. I don't actually drink coffee, but I love coffee scented things because I worked in coffee for like 8 years. So I love the smell of coffee shops. Weirdly, this doesn't actually smell like coffee at all. I don't even know if it smells like cedarwood. It's very sweet. It's almost like a perfume. I don't know. This one does not smell like coffee. So if you are interested in these and you want the coffee and cedarwood one, it does not smell like coffee. But I don't know what it smells like burning. Sometimes scents change, but I doubt it because there's no coffee scent in here. My favorite is obviously this one, but I think my second favorite one is Flannels and Fedora. Did I say that? This is called Flannels and Fedoras. Yeah, this one's called Flannels and Fedoras. Hello, it's Friday. This lighting is horrific, but I'm in my office doing work right now. I'm on a break, and on my break I decided to edit my captions. I don't know what kind of break that is, but that's where we're at. Anyway, I wanted to update you because I did read a little bit more of Jade Legacy, but my plan is once I finish my work for the day, which should be soon, I want to dedicate this weekend to just finishing Jade Legacy. My goal is that by Sunday at the latest, I will finish because it's all I can think about and I'm on edge all the time. I just don't know where this book is going. I'm just stressed out. I'm stressed. I can't even predict anything at this point. Like, some of my predictions are accurate, but they don't play out the way that I think they're going to. And then there's just so much about this book that hasn't even crossed my mind. And I think one of the things about this book that makes it so hard to predict where it's going is because in the first 2 books, you're kind of focusing on Janloon and the Call family and like the politics within these clans and territories, And then in the second book, you get to see a little bit more globally, but this is like a global scale book. You are seeing politics happening all over this world, and you're seeing from perspectives that you've never met before. And you're seeing so much like globalization, foreign influence on Jade and the trading of Jade, and how people are accessing and using Jade, and how that affects K-Con and like their business and the clan's business. But also there are heavy discussions about the fact that Jade is used very specifically in K-Con, and how when like foreign trading or taking of this Jade kind of corrupts the whole ideals and purpose behind Jade. It's just so interesting and complex. I could barely even describe it all to you even if I wanted to. But yeah, Jade Legacy is just like on this incredibly large scale, and it's global, and you're seeing all of these perspectives. And so like I didn't predict half of the things that are happening in this book, because I don't think I even thought that Fondly would take it so large. And actually, when you're reading it and you're in this story, you realize how important it is to take this story on a global scale, especially because you are now seeing how like foreign influence and globalization and like expanding clan ties more in foreign areas is really important. It's more important than I think ever before in this story or in the past. Part of me feels like I'm even too stupid to understand everything Fondly is saying here. But anyway, my whole point was that I really want to finish Jade Legacy tonight. I really want to finish Jade Legacy by this weekend, by the end of this weekend. I'm ready to cry. I don't cry very often in books, but I've already cried a bunch in this book, and I'm prepared for it to get worse. I think tragedy is about to strike in my life. Hi, it's been a while. It's probably been like 4 days. I've barely updated this vlog. I don't actually know the last time I updated the vlog, except maybe to talk about Jade Legacy on Friday or something. But otherwise, I've had the worst migraine that I've had in a while. It's been days of my head being in pain, but I'm feeling better today, so I decided to update the vlog and like catch you up on what I've been doing and reading. So if my assumption is that I did update the vlog on Friday, which I'm pretty sure that I did, I then have not updated for 3 days. So starting with Saturday, I went to the library. I didn't take any footage of it, but I ended up getting a lot of books from the library that I didn't plan on getting. I went there for one specific book, and ended up with 5. So I'm gonna show you those. So the one specific book that I went there for was The Helm of Midnight, and this was because actually Reagan from Peruse Project just put out a video talking about this, but I've had this on my radar since it was published, and I had wanted to read it in kind of the spooky season because it is like a murder mystery fantasy. So I kind of wanted to read something like that because I've never read like a mystery fantasy that's like specifically a mystery. So that's why I got this one. I'm not going to give synopsis about these. As for the 4 other books that I did not plan to get at all, but they were there and I want to read them, so why not? The first one is Middle Game by Shauna McGuire. This has been out for a while. I've seen it all over the place. I know Kayla from Books and Lala, this is like one of her all-time favorite books. I've read a couple of Shauna McGuire books and I have very mixed opinions about all of them. They all have very different ratings. This was interesting to me when I first heard about it, and then I kind of lost interest over time because it felt like it was going to be something that my small little pea brain couldn't handle. But now that there's a second book that is going to be in this world, I just became a little more interested, and there's some little novellas that are from this book as well that Shauna McGuire has published as like a pseudonym for an author that's introduced in here. So I'm going to give it a try. And when I did post this stack on Instagram, a lot of my friends, mainly Noelle and Sydney, were very excited that I picked up Middle Game, so I'm looking forward to reading it. I then picked up Crown of Feathers. This has been something that I've wanted to read for a while, probably when it was published, but more recently I think Vish was doing a read-along for this series, or maybe it was just the first book, I don't really remember, but I think they have a live show. I'll leave the live show down below. I've obviously not watched the live show because I'm pretty sure it's spoilery, but it kind of reminded me that the series existed and that I was interested in it, and I know that the 3rd book recently came out, and I'm pretty sure it's the 3rd and final book in the series, so I thought now was a good time to read it. And I'm really looking forward to this because I was having like a weird time with YA fantasy this last year and a half, but after reading We Hunt the Flame, I've been a little more excited to pick up other YA fantasies. So I hope that I really like this one. This next one, I don't actually know if I'm gonna read it, but I'm very interested in it for a specific reason. So that's Small Favors. The reason I'm interested in this is because I got an arc of this author's other book, House of Salt and Sorrow, years ago, and I ended up reading it in one sitting and had a really fun time. Definitely wasn't the best book that I ever read. It's not a book that I sit and think about a lot, but I had a lot of fun reading it. It was kind of like a haunted house ghost type of story, and I just enjoyed it. I'm interested in the premise of this, but I'm mainly interested in it because I've liked the author's previous works, but this is one that I'm like not too rushed to read it, so if I don't get to it, I'm not going to be that upset about it. And the last one that I got, I've been so close to buying this at the bookstore a million times, but I actually don't see that much about it. And for me with sci-fi, I usually tend to lean on reviews from people who read a lot of sci-fi because I don't heavily read sci-fi. I read more fantasy than sci-fi. Anyway, it's The First Sister. I know the 2nd book just came out. I'm not sure how many books are going to be in this series. But I finally picked it up, and my friend Christine from the Roomies Digest just told me that she loved this book and it was really good, so that made me excited. And the fact that the 2nd book's out, so maybe if I like it a lot I can just go into the 2nd book. So that's everything that I got from the library. I think I'm gonna do a reading vlog for those next month. So that's what I did on Saturday. Sunday I ended up finishing Jade Legacy, and you saw me kind of finishing it. That wasn't the end, it was very close to the end, and then I just like uncontrollably started crying, so I turned off the camera. I've never ugly cried so much at a book, and especially a book finale, so there's that. I have been wanting to use Cawpile, which is something that G from Book Roast created, and it's a way for you to be able to rate books really accurately, because usually I just go off how I feel about a book, and I wanted to use Cawpile, and I was going to start with Jade Legacy, but like, what's the point? It was a 5 out of 5. I don't need anything to tell me that that was a 5 stars. It is the best book series I have ever read it's never going to be topped by anything. I really don't think anything will ever top that series. I think things may come close, but nothing will ever top that series for me. And it's one of those series that, like, if you don't like it, please don't talk to me about not liking it, because I will fight. I will fight you. I'm just kidding. I will never be objective about the Greenbone Saga. It's just not in me to be objective about the Greenbone Saga. So for me to give you a review of Jade Legacy just seems stupid. I thought it was perfect. If you aren't already invested in the story in a way that's like, this is your favorite book of all time, I think the problems that you'll have with Jade Legacy are the time jumps and how expansive it is. I'm pretty sure I was talking about how this goes to a global scale and there's a lot of characters. The cast list at the beginning is like 5 pages long. No, they're doing yard work. I spent too much time talking about library books and not enough time talking about Jade Legacy. I'll be back. So after a short break from our sponsor, food and caffeine, I'm back. I don't really know what I was talking about when I was interrupted. I think I was just telling you that I am not the person to give you an objectively unbiased review of this book, because I love this series. I love this family, these characters. I love where the story went. I definitely think there are things that people are going to critique about Jade Legacy, and I can see those things a bit, mainly time jumps and the fact that this book is on a global scale. I feel like are going to be the two main things that people have issue with, but I thought it was done in such a perfect way that even though it feels or looks like there's going to be this overwhelming cast of characters, it doesn't feel overwhelming, because the core of the story is still about the Call family. It's still about the characters that you've known and loved throughout this entire series, or maybe hated, disliked, despised. But the core of the story is about characters that you already know, and it stays pretty true to that. And the introductions to other characters make sense, and the politics in here makes sense when you are sidetracked onto something else in the story where there's something political or sinister unfolding and it doesn't feel like it makes sense in that moment. Everything comes together and makes sense. It's just the incredible thing about Fonda Lee is not only is she amazing at character work, like, I'm sorry, but Hilo has the best character arc I have ever read in any book. Whether you love him, you simp for him, or you hate him and think he is a villain, you cannot argue. It's indisputable that he has the best character arc you will ever read in a book. I've never seen a character arc done that way. I said in the last video that I was not a Hilo stan, and by the end of this book, I understood and liked Hilo. I don't know, I feel like I still am not gonna be able to process or talk about this book very much because I feel so attached to it. This is my favorite series of all time. I don't know if anything is ever going to come close. I don't know if I'll ever find a series that I love as much. I'm happy to have found this series because it's one that I would reread over and over again. As a matter of fact, in November, I'll probably reread it when the 3rd book comes out and I have a physical copy. I actually kind of want to read them on audiobook, and I think once I reread them, I'm gonna do maybe like a series review. But I did want to direct you to Tammy's video, Tammy Tries to Read, because she just did a spoiler-free vlog about Jade Legacy, and I really loved that vlog. And she was better at explaining some of her feelings about this book than I am right now. And we had very similar thoughts about this book in general, and we got to talk about it while I was reading it because she let me spam her while I was reading this book. So I highly recommend, if you want to watch a spoiler-free review, I would go to Tammy's channel and watch that one because she makes a lot of really good points, and she had pretty much the exact same feelings that I had about the series and about this book in general. Somehow I'm in another striped shirt. I don't know. Anyway, hi. Today is actually Thursday. I'm feeling so much better than I was at the beginning of the week. But yesterday I didn't really update because Yasmin and I had our live show for the Wheel of Time, live shows that we do for each book. And once we finished the live show, we then talked for like 4 hours, so. But before I get into wrapping up this vlog and telling you what I've read, because I've read some more, I did get 2 books when I went to the bookstore. I'm sure you can guess one of them. I think it's easy to guess one of them, which is Iron Widow. I did get Iron Widow. I'm so excited. Also, I was completely under the impression that this was adult, but it's teen, I guess. I mean, it was in the teen section and it says Penguin Teen Canada. So I actually have the audio as well. So I think next month I kind of want to read this, even though I want to get into that spooky vibe. I really want to read this. So we will see. The other book that I ended up getting is The Blade itself, which I've seen a few of my friends reading the newest trilogy that I think the last book in that trilogy just came out. I've seen a few friends reading that. I also know that Yasmin read The Blade itself, I think sometime earlier this year, and really loved it. Her and I have pretty similar reading tastes when it comes to fantasy, especially because we're more like character-driven readers, and I don't know, the things we look for in fantasies usually line up really well. Weirdly, this is another book that I'm probably reading next month. I think Rachel wants to buddy read it, so. As for my reading update, you know I've been reading The Bone Shard Daughter. I actually finished it this morning, and I did run it through Callpile, and it's like a mid 3 stars, so I just assumed that that would be like a 3.5, so that's what I'm gonna give it, is a 3.5 stars. I did talk a little bit about what this book was when I first read it, but that was in a different vlog. Basically, you have 3 perspectives, except in one of those perspectives, it goes back and forth between 2 characters. So the first perspective that is probably the most prevalent is Lynn, and Lynn is the Emperor's daughter, and she has lost her memories. So a lot of her chapters are her trying to regain her memories and regain her father's trust. And then you have Jovis, and Jovis was a traitor turned smuggler because 7 years prior his wife was taken. And the one thing that he remembers about his wife being taken is the boat that she was taken on. So his whole purpose is that he is on this quest to find his wife, and that's what he is motivated by. And so within that, him trying to find information about this boat, he ends up getting himself entwined with this rebellion group, all because he saved one child from the bone shard ceremony, which is when a child gets a bone from behind their ear taken, and those bone shards are used by the emperor to create these things called constructs, and these constructs are almost like guards, but they're creatures that protect the empire. Which leads you to your third perspective, which goes between 2 women who are dating. And you have Romani, who is somebody who wants to be a part of this rebellion. And then you have Falu, who is Romani's girlfriend, but also is the governor's daughter. This story is really shrouded in mystery. I think the most intense parts of the book happen in the last like quarter of the book, which, as you know, if you saw my review of We Hunt the Flame, I don't usually mind that, but I feel like in this book, because there was so much mystery shrouding the majority of the story, I had a hard time connecting with the characters. I also feel like Romani and Falu's perspectives almost are meaningless because you don't get to know them. They have the fewest chapters out of the 3. It is primarily Lynn and Jovis who have the story in here, and for the majority of the book, you don't really know how any of them are going to intertwine. So their stories often feel extremely separate, on top of the fact that Romani and Falu's characters I didn't really know them, and they had the least amount of page time. So I hope in the next book they get more page time, because by the end I feel like their stories can be really interesting in the future, and I think that they could have a really cool storyline in general. And then Jovis is kind of the middle of the road character for me. I like his plot. He has an animal companion, and I really love the animal companion aspect. It's really fun, and I think like the whole connection they have is really interesting, but I don't really like Jovis. It's not that I don't like Jovis, I just don't have any real connection or feeling towards him. As a matter of fact, I don't really feel like I have any connection or feeling towards any of the characters. I just felt like Lynn's perspective, not necessarily Lynn, was more interesting. I will say though, I really do want to move on with the series, because I think this could turn into something really cool and dark, especially because the magic system in here is really dark. Like, it's almost like a necromancy type of magic. The bone shard magic was the most interesting part to me, but I do feel like it was almost the least fleshed out part of the story. So I'm looking forward to understanding the magic system a little bit more in future books. So yeah, this was a 3.5 for me. I definitely will be moving on. I've pre-ordered the second book, which comes out in November. I think it's like the beginning of November. So I'm looking forward to being able to dive right into the second one and see how I feel about it from there. So wrapping up the third week of the Magical Readathon and the Bookopoly-thon, I finished Jade Legacy, which goes towards building my character. I am now from an urban area, so the prompt for that aspect of building your character was to read a book primarily set in an urban area. Speaking of Jade Legacy, I can't stop thinking about it. It's been a few days. It's been 4 days, right? Yeah, 4 days since I finished it. I already want to reread all of the books, so. And then obviously I finished The Bone Shard Daughter, which this is just for the Bookopoly-thon, and I rolled opulence. So it was either to read a book with a cover that is opulent or to read a book that has royalty involved. This actually technically has both. So that is just for the Bookopoly-thon. Although technically I can use this for the Magical Readathon, I'm still holding out hope that I will finish the last 3 books for this readathon, even though I'm almost certain to not finish the last 3 books that I've chosen for the different prompts. I'm still gonna hold out hope, but if it doesn't work out, this technically counts for a prompt in the Magical Readathon, but we will cross that bridge when we get there. Otherwise, this is just for the Bookopoly-thon right now. Anyway, please let me know how you're doing in either readathon, both readathons, or just how your month is going with reading. Happy fall, by the way. Yesterday was the first day of fall. Happy fall. I hope you're doing well, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.